after alignment and everything, there is another option that you can do to your project or your different element in a kind of row, that you can change the order in which the elements or in which the columns are displayed on different devices. For example, you want column 1 to be on the right side of the other two column in the smaller device, or for example, you want them to be displayed according to different devices on a different arrangements, then you can do it with the class called order. So if you just use the word order and then you specify the range, or from specify the column from where it should be displayed, then what it will do is all the other columns which has kind of which does not have a kind of ordered class assigned to them, they will first appear, and then all the uh, uh, columns which has a kind of ordered class assigned to them in the order which have, for example, let's say if you have a column with order 1 and the column with order 4 and then another column without any order, then what it will do is when you display the item, what it will do is it will show first the column without any order, then the order 1, and then the order 6. Similarly, you can change order based on the device also, and then we will for example, on medium the column should be at place 6, but on the large device, for example, the same column should be on the place 12. So this way you can adjust your column in different orders based on the devices. And similarly, when you are defining an order, you can also offset. You can define an offset. For example, this offset means that the column should start calculating after 4 columns. So you can define move the column to a right by specific column. So you can define an offset between, for example, in the column 2 that is shown here, column 2, there is an offset of 9, so which shows that, which is the reason why it is displayed a bit on the right side. So since the column itself span 2, so it starts with the 9 and then the 2 itself, and then there is only one column remaining. So the other column, for example, the column 2 offset 9, there is another column which has an offset of 9 after the ending of this column. Similarly, you can adjust or you can define this offset, but it makes things a kind of bit complex. But when you get familiar with the system, when you get familiar with different classes, and you will be able to use these kind of advanced arrangement classes easily. For example, I think we are also going to use some of these ordered classes in our project. For example, what we are doing here is that we want our activities class columns. For example, we have 3 activities column which are thesis, courses, and research. We want on a large devices or above medium devices to be displayed, so that we have at first the thesis is there, and then there is course, and then there is research. But on smaller devices we want them to be in the order that the first is research, then the course, and then the thesis. So what we did here is that we created an order that on medium the research should be on third. Similarly, on the courses, it should remain on second. The reason why we need to add this order to keep it on the second, because if we don't add it, we learned that if there is no order attached to a column, then it will automatically be displayed first. That's why we have to forcefully specify it to remain on the second, and then we move thesis to the first. We also did some ordering on the main container, and then we will look it more in detail when we see it in the live example. For example, let's move on. Let's replace this, Control V, Control Shift. Nope, I think this is the wrong one. Alt Shift F and save it. Now we should have a kind of, now we have for example, we have thesis on the left, courses in the middle, and research on the right. But if we go to smaller devices, then thesis is no more at the first, it is at the third, and it is now in the original state now. For example, in the original state, thesis is at the third, research is at the top, then courses, then thesis, which is, this is the original state. What we do is that this is what this whole mobile first strategy is. You should arrange your columns according to how it should look like in your device, on a small device, then arrange and organize them for higher devices. That's what we did. We have a kind of defined our 3 columns for our smaller devices, and then what we said that on medium and above devices, this should be the order that should be used. So this way you can adjust your content on different devices with this. Okay, so shift 5, and then I think this, with this we have our kind of basic structure of the project ready. Now all we need to do now is start filling it with the content, and we will be able to have a kind of this good looking website.